All right, Paisanos. Where to begin with Paisanos? Here at the Tours, we like to do a mix of culturally significant and neighborhood pizzerias. And Paisanos is definitely going to check off the box for culturally significant. Paisanos started back in 1991 by a guy by the name of Rudy Malnati Jr. And the Malnati name is an important name in the world of Chicago pizza, so let me dive into why that is. Back in the 40s, a couple of partners got together on the near north side of Chicago at the corner of Ohio and Wabash. One was a guy by the name of Ike Sewell, whose background was in liquor distribution. He was also a former football star at the University of Texas, an All-American, in fact, an offensive lineman. Then his buddy, fellow restaurateur and former war veteran, a guy by the name of Richard Navarrete, who was affectionately known as Rick Ricardo. Now, Ike being from Texas, he felt that Chicago didn't have any good Mexican food. So it was his intention to open up a Mexican restaurant, specifically Tex-Mex. So it's rumored that he hires a chef one evening to prepare Rick this fine meal. And then Rick wakes up the next morning and has never been so sick off of food in his entire life. So he puts the kibosh on it and actually disappears for like 2 months. Nobody knows where he went. But people have theorized that he went to Italy, had his fair share of pizza, came back and said, Ike, you know what? We're going to do pizza here instead. So pizza it is. The only problem is they're looking at each other like, all right, neither of them has any idea how to make pizza. So what they got to do is they got to go out and find themselves a nice Italian guy, a guy by the name of Rudy Malnati Sr., the father of the guy that owns Paisanos. Now, up until then, pizza had been relatively small. Thin crust, more of an appetizer or a snack as opposed to a full-blown meal. And Ike, being from Texas, felt that wasn't good enough. Everything's bigger in Texas is kind of how that saying goes. So it's through his direction that Rudy Malnati Sr. creates the deep dish pizza at a place that was originally called Pizzeria Ricardo, which many people have never heard of. And that's because Rick ends up leaving the business a little while after that and goes off and does his own full-service restaurant. So when Ricardo leaves, the name of the pizzeria just simply becomes The Pizzeria, which isn't an extremely original name, but that's what it was. It's not until the 50s, so a good 12 years have gone by or so, before this really starts to gain popularity. And a food writer had written this article about how the pizza at Ohio and Wabash was better than anything he'd ever tasted anywhere in Italy, and that it was some of the best pizza all over the world. This is essentially like the first Yelp review. And then locals start going there and boasting about this pizza. And travelers start going there, and there's long lines to get in for this pizza because it's deep dish. And you know, it takes like 30 minutes to bake it or so. So what ends up happening in 1955 is they open up another location just 1 block north of their original location. And when they do that, they call that location Pizzeria Due. So naturally they come back to the first spot and they'll call that one Pizzeria Uno. So there you have it. That's where Uno's and Due, which was originally Pizzeria Ricardo, and for some time also the pizzeria, that's where the deep dish started in December of 1943. But by bringing you folks to Paisanos, what we're doing is we're following that family name, the first family of pizza in Chicago, the Malnatis. And it was one of those things too, when they first invented that pizza, it wasn't a tremendous success. They would literally stand out on the sidewalk and hand out free slices until they got that good review. Fortunately for them, like it is in the case of so many Chicago businesses, it's the booze that kept them afloat. Their beer sales, their alcohol sales, that's what kind of kept it going and kept that business going. So we always like to incorporate some deep dish pizza on the tour. I thought that Paisanos really combined some of the old school methods and one of the newer, lesser known popular restaurants is like a Uno's or a Gino's East or something like that. It's one of those lesser known but still has really good roots. Rudy Malnati has worked really hard to make that pizzeria, kind of a reflection of his father's legacy. So let's talk about the actual pizza itself. You're going to take a well-seasoned pan that's about 2 inches thick, and you're going to line the bottom of it with corn oil. And then you're going to take that dough, which has a significant amount of oil in the dough recipe. Now, I don't know the recipe. They don't share that stuff with me. There's only a few people in the world that know the dough recipe there. And they're going to pat that dough down all the way across the pan, spread it to the sides, and then pull it up on the sides as well. Then go the slices of mozzarella. Always slices on a deep dish pizza. And for the longest time, I thought really the slices, what they did was kind of create this barrier level from the liquidy sauce on top and the dough so that it wouldn't get in there and soggy up our dough. But the reality of it is that is a benefit of it. But really, the reason they put in slices of cheese was for the application of sausage. It was easier to pinch and put the sausage down on full slices. and it was a time-saving method that just had a couple of different benefits. This pizza was really designed to be a sausage pizza. Across the country, pepperoni is the #1 topping and by far, but in Chicago it's really all about sausage. So, like I said, whole milk mozzarella on this pizza here, extremely flavorful. It's one of the main things that I get when I eat a Pizano's pizza is I taste how rich the cheese is on this pizza. The dough should be nice and crispy and brittle, and then your sauce shouldn't be tons of sauce, but rather it's just fresh tomatoes that are kind of grabbed and hand squeezed and put on the pizza. They're kind of a chunkier tomato sauce, and they don't use a lot of sauce at Pizano, so it doesn't overpower the pizza. With deep dish, really one of the tricks is to getting it well balanced, not putting too much cheese, not putting too much dough, definitely not putting too much sauce. As the sauce cooks, it thins itself out through it. It's one of my favorite deep dish pizzas in Chicago. It's like home base for most of our Chicago pizza tours. There's no other pizzeria I've spent more time in the last decade. So I hope you guys enjoy it. If you have any questions, like I always say, call me, text me, let me know. Thanks.